What's up, y'all? It's Matt with Family Tradition Farms. Hey, it's time to get the corn out of the bin. First things first, we gotta get the old 806 fired up. That way we can get the 2350 loader taken off. It's way too tight of a fit to be able to get the tractor with the loader squeezed between the barn so that I can hook it up to the PTO shaft to run the auger after it's slid underneath the sump. First, we're gonna get it backed out. Second, we're gonna hopefully get the auger hooked up, pulled around, and slid underneath the sump of the bin. That way we can get it unloaded this week. Stick around, guys. It's gonna be a heck of a day. Guys, it's only about 11 degrees out today, so we want to be extra cautious to make sure that the tractor's not low on any fluids. We always check the engine oil first, just to make sure that it hasn't leaked any out. It has no leaks that I'm aware of, but you always want to be cautious because it's way easier to check oil than to replace an engine. Yep, we look pretty good on the engine oil. Next, we're going to check the hydraulic fluid. The hydraulic fluid dipstick is actually located on the platform of the 806 here. So I know we have the loader on and we're going to take it off, which is going to change how much fluid is left in the tractor. But this at least gives us a baseline of how much we have in it. And after we take the loader off, we'll probably have to add a little bit more because of how this loader comes off. You actually extend the cylinders all the way out. But this makes sure that we're at least in good shape to start. And we're right at the full mark. This is where the auger is going to slide into. It's going to come right underneath that sump. I was smart and dug this hole out before the ground froze, but obviously it's filled with ice. So we'll grab a shovel and get that ice moved out of there, because probably by the time we get to actually unload this next week, it'll thaw out, and I really don't want a big old pile of water sitting there. So I'll grab a shovel and start digging. This auger here is 62 foot long. Unfortunately, it's the only one I've got to load and unload the bins with. I know a lot of guys use smaller unload augers, but this is all we've got. As long as it is, it's incredibly difficult to maneuver, but it really doesn't weigh a whole lot here at the tongue. I'm hoping I can hook it onto the four-wheeler and we can slip it around a little bit easier than using the tractor. So while everything's warming up in the shop, I came out here to make sure it's not frozen to the ground. But it is, so we're gonna go grab a jack and jack it up, that way it gets unfroze. Okay, we got the auger almost there. Unfortunately, we just got to pick it up and carry it the rest of the way into the hole under the sump. Problem is, I don't think I've dug the hole out big enough, and that ground is frozen solid. So I guess we're gonna try sliding it in there and see if it sits down good. If not, I have to pull it back out and grab an axe probably. Well, I ended up getting extremely frustrated. I had to get a hammer and a freaking chisel to break up the dirt so that it would sit low enough to clear the pulley for the sump. And I could not push that sucker. So I hooked the strap up to the four-wheeler and we just bulldogged it in there. It's in there almost as far as it needs to be. Probably see it better from this side here. So it is underneath where the grain is going to come out of the sump, right there, but just barely. So I've got some old belting in the shop. I'm gonna make like a little funnel, that way when it does come out it actually makes its way into the auger there. So the old Polaris, she's a workhorse. International Harvester had it figured out with the Mount-O-Matic loaders. Guys, it's so easy to hook up and unhook from this. You don't even need two people. Less than 5 minutes, I can pull up, pull a couple pins, back out from it, unhook my hoses, and I'm good to go. Now we got plenty of room for the 806 to hook up to the auger back behind us, and we should be able to get the PTO shaft hooked up with no interference. Unfortunately, as steep of an angle as we're sitting at with the PTO shaft, we've got to slide the drawbar out of the way. Again, super easy to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get the PTO shaft hooked up. This is just the gearbox for the auger. Again, it doesn't leak any oil or gear lube, but as cold as it is, we want to make sure that there's not a bunch of frozen ice in there. It's definitely thin, but there's oil. We're probably going to go ahead and add a little bit more just to be safe. Again, oil's a heck of a lot cheaper than rebuilding the gearbox. It's working like it's supposed to. Perfect. Well, I think that's going to do it for today's video. I'm cold, my fingertips are numb, and I'm worn out. Anyways, we got the auger hooked up and got the 806 ready to go. That way all we got to do is wait for some trucks to show up, and then we should be able to get the corn unloaded. So guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me. If you haven't, go ahead and hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to the channel. It really helps out my algorithm. So I appreciate it, you guys. Thanks, and y'all have a good one.